You ever get that feeling that there's just more to you than what you see in the mirror? Well, today we're diving into a framework that says you're absolutely right. It's called human body contours, and trust me, it paints a picture of our existence that's way bigger than what we can just see and touch.
And that's really the big question, isn't it? The human body contours framework doesn't just say, yep, you are. No, it gives us a surprisingly detailed map of this multi-layered, interconnected system that makes you, you.
So, what in the world is a contour? Think of it like this. It's a special kind of energy structure that basically bundles different levels of your being together. It's a whole system designed to get these different bodies of yours working as one single functional unit, where every single piece has a job to do.
Okay, to make this all make sense, we're going to lean on an analogy for this whole explainer. Let's imagine your entire being, all of it, is a super high-tech computer. This idea is going to be our guide for figuring out how all these different parts are supposed to work together.
All right, let's dive in at the ground level. We're starting with the most fundamental layer, the one that keeps us planted in physical reality, the first contour. This is the foundation that everything else is built on. So, using our computer analogy, this first contour has two main parts. You've got your physical body, that's the hardware, the tangible stuff you can see and touch. Then you have the etheric body, which people often call your etheric double. This is the operating system. It's this fine material layer that manages all the energy and makes the hardware actually, run.
Now, the connection between these two is absolutely critical. They're not just hanging out next to each other. They are, for all intents and purposes, structurally inseparable. You just can't have one without the other for very long.
And get this, the source material gets super specific about this. An etheric body that's been detached from its physical hardware, it can only last about a week or two. And the physical body, well, it can't function at all without its etheric operating system. And here's a wild little side note. The source mentions some entities actually exist with an artificial, two-dimensional etheric structure. It's basically a projection from a whole other level of reality. Okay, so we've got our hardware and our operating system humming along. Now let's level up. We're moving on to the more advanced software that makes up what's called the soul contour. The soul contour is the next big piece of the puzzle, and it brings together three more bodies. You can think of these as our advanced software programs. There's the astral body, which is the seat of our emotions and desires. Then the mental body, the hub for our thoughts and intellect. And finally, the causal body, which is tied to our higher consciousness and life's purpose. According to this framework, our main job here, our evolutionary task, is to fully build out and integrate these higher-level bodies. So how do these different bodies actually do anything in our physical world? Well, it's all about access. The etheric body, our operating system, has a direct line to the physical plane. It can take direct action. But the astral body, it works differently. It can't just step in and take over. Instead, it sends a flow of energy to kind of pump up or reinforce our physical and etheric states. It's more of an indirect influence than a direct command. We've covered the first couple of layers, which is already a lot, I know, but now it's time to pull the camera way, way back and look at the breathtaking scale of this entire system. So we've talked about the first contour, our double, and the soul contour. And you might be thinking that's already a lot to handle. But what if I told you we've barely scratched the surface? Just how big is this potential human structure really? 16. That's the number. According to this framework, there are a total of 16 possible contours that make up the complete human energy structure. Now, whoa, hold on. Don't worry about memorizing all these numbers and positions. Seriously. The main point here is just to see the sheer scope and complexity of the system. It's mapping out a potential structure that goes so far beyond what we normally think about. So why? Why a system this complex? There has to be a point to it all, right? What is the ultimate goal of having all these different levels and contours? This, right here, is the end game of this whole evolutionary journey. The ultimate goal is total integration. It's about uniting our everyday walking around consciousness with what the source calls the higher self. And the idea is to allow that higher part of us to operate directly through our physical body, right here on this plane. Let's bring back our computer analogy one last time, because it just nails this concept. For the user, that's the higher self, to effectively run the advanced software of all those higher contours, the basics, the hardware, and the operating system have to be working together perfectly. That integration of the physical and etheric bodies is the toughest part, but it is the absolute most essential first step. So how does this monumental task even begin? Well, it's not with some crazy complex ritual. It actually starts with something we can all access: self-awareness. Just becoming conscious of these different levels of your own being. That's the key that turns the engine over on this whole process.
Okay, here's one last idea to chew on, and it's a bit of a mind bender. When we're talking about all these different bodies and dimensions, the concepts we rely on every day, like distance or size, they just don't apply. Those are measurements that only really mean something within a single dimension.
And that leaves us with one final, pretty profound question, doesn't it? If these other parts of you can't be measured or located in physical space, how do you even begin to become aware of them? How do you perceive something that's beyond our normal perception?